the kind of communication they've been having, because for this paper to have excerpts from WhatsApp groups where the president is involved, it means that one member of parliament actually showed the journalists. So this is what has been going on. But is it unusual? Bwana Kirwa, you served in the National Assembly.
Yes.
Is it unusual for the executive to have this kind of influence on parliament?
Well, it is very interesting because for the 4 terms I served, 3 of them I served with President Moi as a member of parliament for Cherangani, Kano ticket. The first one being it was the only party at that particular time. My second term, we were now operating under multi-party. And the third term, same multi-party. Then the final term I served under President Kibaki. For the first 3 terms that I served under Kanu, the executive was still calling the shots. Remember that particular time, at some stage, Kanu was the only party allowed under Constitution, courtesy of Section 2A, which we were able to amend in the run-up to 1992 general elections. I remember, I think it should have been December of 1991 that we amended that particular section of the Constitution. Upon amendment, therefore, we now ushered in multipartyism, but still President Moi yielded a lot of power, both in terms of the numbers in the House. We were more than 50% Kanu, and the rest of the House was comprising other political parties in the opposition. In 1997, as he was serving his last term, he still yielded some huge power, given the fact that even NDP, that was now ushered in by Raila Odinga when he split from Fort Kenya, still boosted the numbers of Kanu, and therefore some of us were seen as Kanu rebels, not considered to be integral part of Kanu, courtesy of Raila Odinga coming to join Kanu to form that coalition, starting with cooperation. In 2002, the NAC wave that swept the House, close to 125 seats, were won by NAC, therefore making one of the largest parties at that particular time, or almost in the history of this country, given the fact that the other seats were split by KANU and a few other opposition parties. That parliament acquired a colossal position, and the parliament became almost stronger than the executive. A lot of work was given to parliament, the style of Kibaki, that don't interfere with anything that is operating, allow institutions to flourish. So parliament almost became rogue. And that's the time that we witnessed a bit of presence of members of parliament asking for kickbacks to deal with issues that were even mundane, coming from the ministry. I witnessed that because even previous, I was assistant minister twice. This therefore means it is not because I was part of the executive that I witnessed that. But for the last number of terms since 2010 Constitution, it seems that thing has become rampant. And it's not all members of parliament. There are certain members of parliament that get involved in that. Now, this particular regime of President William Ruto has been the most vicious in terms of watering down the other institutions. The institution of parliament was decimated by him bringing all the numbers in his favor. And of course, the judiciary was also threatened, as you know. And therefore, for him to have the audacity to tell us that parliament is corrupt and is not part of that corruption network is, to say the least, foolhardy. And it's also akin to him trying to mock the public, because we know corruption has been pervasive in all arms of government. What they are calling judicial pesa for the judiciary, whatever has been happening in Parliament, including the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, and many other things that have been happening, we've known that money has been changing hands. And within the executive, we know colossal amounts of money, including the 11 billion that is seen to have gone elsewhere other than where it ought to have been. So, in other words, I have this feeling, Fred, without really overreaching myself, that President William Ruto is just keen on trying to reinvent himself as we go towards the next general election by vilifying Parliament, making some of them so cowardly, and making even some of the governors realize that they are in trouble. In the process, he may even jail one or two of his ministers just to prove a point. And once he does that, Kenyans will say, okay, this is now Saul has turned into Paul. Okay. And therefore, he may need to be re-elected for purposes of completing his agenda. Right. That's the way I see it.
Dr. Makali Mulu, the Standard appears to suggest that the president